Begin tonight keeping them honest, even as the White House tries to play hide and seek. For a second straight day, the president went to his golf course near Mar-a-Lago. Unlike yesterday, though, when we managed to get exclusive video of the president playing around instead of getting back to work as he promised, we got a very different view today. Apparently, in response to our footage, someone put a big truck between our camera, which was on public property, by the way, and the links. When we moved, the truck moved. The Secret Service says it wasn't behind us. The Palm Beach Sheriff's Department also denying responsibility. Now remember, during the campaign, Mr. Trump said he would not have time as president for golf. This was, however, the 87th day that he has spent at one of his own golf properties since taking office. The president did have at least one official function today, visiting a fire station in nearby West Palm Beach, where he talked about upcoming legislation for first responders and also boasted about his legislative accomplishments.
We have more legislation passed, including the record was Harry Truman a long time ago, and we broke that record, so we have a lot done.
Keeping them honest, again, the president has rolled back plenty of regulations, and of course he did sign a deal of executive orders, and he does have the tax bill to his credit. However, when it comes to the number of bills passed, the president is not, in fact, the best since Harry Truman. He is the worst, in fact, since Dwight Eisenhower, the worst in half a century. That said, he is trying for something big next year. CNN's Phil Mattingly joins me now with more. Phil, the president said today he broke that record for signing legislation. I mean, is there any way, any sort of technicality here where he could make that argument?
Yeah, Jim, the short answer is no. The 96 bills that he signed into law in his first year in office fall far short of his predecessors, going back to at least Dwight Eisenhower. But also, it's worth noting, it's an odd metric to fixate on, right? He has done things that are major accomplishments for conservatives. You can talk about the tax bill, which also repealed the Obamacare individual mandate, which also allowed drilling in the Anwar Reserve out in Alaska. He's got 12 circuit court judges, a Supreme Court justice that have all been confirmed. These are things that Republicans would like to focus on, not necessarily the numbers, particularly when they fall short. But by any metric you look at, Jim, if you want to talk about bills, and keep in mind, these aren't all major legislative initiatives for any president, let alone President Trump, by the sheer numbers, 96 bills that he's signed into law so far certainly don't measure up to his predecessors up to this point.
I mean, it raises the question, why bother when it's so easily refutable? Now, the president, of course, did have a major legislative achievement, the tax bill, as you mentioned, with a lot of things in there that have been Republican priorities. Looking ahead to next year, though, what are his big priorities, and will he need Democrats this time around with just a 51 vote majority in the Senate?
Yeah, he's definitely going to need Democrats, and I think that's why you're seeing White House officials now starting to focus on infrastructure. Look, for years, for multiple administrations, the idea of fixing bridges and